All right. Hi, welcome to Channel Curiosity. I'm really excited with today's episode because I get to talk with Larissa, who is a money coach. Is that how you would describe yourself? Would you say something different?
I would say I'm a money coach, but I'm more focused on the money mindset and the psychology rather than like the budgeting. So I'm not your typical money coach.
Yes, yes. And that's what I really appreciate about the work that you do. And it's weird, like as soon as you said that, I was like, I knew a word was leaving my brain. The money mindset. um, is what is really important there. And I love how you do a lot of work. You talk a lot about inner child and just all kinds of stuff instead of like, you need to not eat, go to Starbucks and you need to budget better.
Right.
Awesome. Well, welcome, welcome. And then, okay, since we do talk a lot about human design here, share with us your human design information.
So I am a 1-3 splenic manifestor. So I'm here to initiate you to get your shit together, and I do a great job at
You really do.
it.
I know. Okay, so another reason I'm really excited is because this all started in the DMs where we just started chatting about divine feminine, and I don't know, there's like a whole bunch that conglomerated in together. And I was like, we just need to put this on a podcast because this is some good shit here, and we need to share the wisdom with everybody. And the thing that really hit me is that I sometimes have trouble with manifestors, just like, I mean, speaking of childhood stuff, my mom's a emotional manifester, and I feel like sometimes it like I want to shut down a little bit. But I'm learning that to be initiated by a peaceful manifester is this really fabulous, beautiful thing. Like it hits me energetically in spots that I can't get otherwise. And it's so cool. And that's what I feel with you. It's like this manifestor initiation where you're just like telling it like it is, you're poking people in the right way, and it's amazing. So I'm glad that you're showing up in the world and doing your thing.
Thank you. Yes, I piss people off, and usually it's for good reason. So, but it's done with love every time.
Yes, and I think that's the thing I appreciate too, because I have the hardest time with that. Like I'm the people pleasing tendencies that I'm learning to move through. But I'm not designed really to poke people in the same ways. So yeah, it's very different coming from a manifester. I feel like if a projector says the things, it just sounds a little too know-it-all. That's how I imagine it anyway. Um, okay. So I want to just dive in because here's what started it all. I think we were on it. I feel like it started something with a group. We were on the group call or something, but then we ended up in the
Mhm.
DMs together. And you were talking about how you had this download about the divine feminine while watching the Eras movie, the Taylor
Mhm.
Swift Eras movie. So let's just go back to the beginning and talk there. Like, do you remember what was coming through with you for that?
Yeah, so I just remember okay, I'm not a big Swiftie, all right? Like I don't listen to her that much. But when the movie came out, I was like, "Oh, that would be fun." And then it just kept coming to me and I was like, I need to go see this movie. Like I don't know why. I don't know what it is, but I need to go see this movie. And it was during the very first little era. I'm pretty sure it was during Lovers. Honestly, it might have been during when she was singing The Man cuz like obviously that's some divine feminine energy right there. But I just remember this download coming through and it was like this emotional, and like I'm a splenic, like undefined emotional center. I'm not very emotional, but I just remember this wave of emotion of like she's really embracing her divine feminine energy right here. Like you're watching the masculine part of it, but then like as she's singing, it's very feminine and you can tell that it was created in that feminine state of rest. And it just came to me like that in order for me to create something that great, I need to be embracing the feminine energy and the feminine side of that creation process, just like Taylor Swift was. Or really, if you look at any musical artist, how they create is in that feminine state of rest.
Yes. And I feel like that's what's so hard in our world, in our capitalistic society. And, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and go out and make it happen. And then you have your manifestor aura, right? So people are probably telling you, like, oh, you need to initiate, you need to go do these things. And I don't feel like people talk about the rest cycle of a manifestor enough and how important that rest cycle is. But is there a part of you that's scared to rest and like hang back and do the thing?
Kind of. I will say it makes it easier that I have my husband who makes enough income for us to live on. So, like, I'm not always having to make income, but like, I would like to consistently make income. Everyone always consistently wants to be bringing in money.
Mhm.
But it has gotten easier, and I remember the first time I heard I was a manifestor and I started looking into it. I followed the manifestor community on Instagram, and she was talking about how your rest cycles are actually supposed to be longer than your push cycles and your urge cycles, and I was like, I'm sorry, what? Like, you're telling me I'm supposed to rest for longer than I work? How do I make that happen? And so it was this big, like, and I tried to really not embrace it for a long time because I was like, you want me to just not work for a month? Like, what am I supposed to be doing?
Yeah. Okay, so when you got this download, you're like in the movie theater, you got this download, you started thinking about the feminine energy of resting and receiving and how important that is. Like, how did you integrate that after?
So I think really for me, the feminine part that I have been denying for a long time was my intuition because I am a very strong intuitive, but I don't like to say that I'm a strong intuitive or to admit to myself that I am more intuitive and that it's not coming from my brain because, like, I think my brain is the best and everything should come from my brain. But for me, I kind of went home and I started getting more intuitive downloads as I started resting more and as I started realizing that the intuitive downloads don't come while I'm being active, they come while I'm resting. So I just started embracing the rest and I started telling myself if I needed to like take a nap, I'd be like, no, you're supposed to take a nap. Like, that's reasonable. Like, go take a nap. You don't have to earn it. It's fine. So, just embracing that rest has really allowed the intuitive downloads to come through more. And literally within like 2 weeks, the same month, I get an intuitive download that I'm supposed to be running this group coaching program and that I need to start working on it because, like, that's coming up and that's the next urge that I'm supposed to be working on.
Mm, yeah, and I remember when you started talking about it. And that's what's so cool about it. Just these creative urges and these downloads and how it just happens. And when you can lean into the trust and allow that feminine side, the magic that can come through that, it's really, really cool. Um, but you also have the money channel in your chart, which feels appropriate for how you talk about money. So do you feel like that helps? Like, do you tap into that much? Do you have like much awareness of that working in your world?
I mean, I'm in charge of the money in the household. So, I mean, like, I'm good with money and I kind of understand how people interact with money. And it's like, so before I even knew anything about human design, I was a financial advisor. And like, something was just always pushing me to like, I'm supposed to be working with money, but I'm not supposed to be working with numbers. Like, I'm not great at the numbers themselves, which is like honestly such a small portion of money when you really look at it from like a big picture perspective. But I came into finance just because I like knew finance was where I was supposed to be, but I never really figured out, and like I didn't get a degree in finance, and I always knew it wasn't corporate finance. And it wasn't something where I'm working under somebody else. It wasn't me doing numbers all day, but I knew that there was some money aspect to it. And so, very much like I'm the one who controls the money in the household. I'm the one who helps people really understand how to look at their money in a different way. So, I believe it comes forward quite a bit, even before I knew that I had it. You're actually the first person who told me that I had that channel. And I was like, no way.
I remember looking at that. I'm like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. That and the fact that you have gate 17, the gate of the Pinions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different places. That was like, yeah, that makes sense too.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah. It works together. We like it. Okay. Okay, so where do you find the balance? Because I remember I messaged you on one thing because I was listening to this podcast, and when we think about the energy of money, I know some people will say, well, it's masculine, like you got to organize it. And then some people say it's feminine, it like flows. And this lady, she just explained it in a specific way that hit me a little different. So she was talking a lot about the feminine aspect of it. But I don't know, I find it so fascinating. Hold on. I got a mental projector my way through this question real quick because there's too many things happening in my brain. Um, Okay, so when we think about the like feminine versus masculine aspect of money, like money itself and the currency and the energy of it, I mean, I can kind of see both things. But when I also think about moving into the divine feminine, like allowing yourself to receive, allowing yourself to create and to be in that feminine energy, there needs to be kind of a masculine container supporting you in that so that you are able to move more confidently into the feminine. So how do you see the energy of money? I guess this is maybe my question.
I
Too many.
think that it's okay. I think that there's the masculine and there's the feminine. I think money in and of itself is a very masculine structure, not only in how it is created, but how it has to be managed, how you always have to have it, how you have to produce it. I feel like money has a very masculine energy, but the way that you manage money needs to have that feminine energy. So if you are not paying attention to the emotions that cause you to spend the money, that's very feminine, and you need to understand more of the feminine side of your management. So I feel that the management side and just how you interact with money has masculine and feminine, but money itself feels very masculine to me, especially if you look at, I mean, when you think of a finance bro, you say bro. Like, it's very masculine. The industry is very masculine. And what people are using it for, like if you look at it on a bigger scale, so let's say we're looking at a company who has a ton of money, they're looking to expand. So they're looking to take that money and have it work for them in a way that is very masculine to grow and to initiate new things.
And that totally makes sense because it does feel like that masculine structure, like the structure of money, is what can help you really move into the creativity of the feminine, like with your own energy. But like, what do you have any thoughts on like what people can do if they're kind of stuck in the masculine themselves to like trust the money? Okay, because okay, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about, like learning to trust to rest. Like you need that resting time. And then it feels weird because it's like if I rest, I'm not actively going out and making money. So where's the money going to come from? And if we get to a place where somebody's like anxious or nervous about it and they're trying to control the flow of the money instead of
Mhm.
trusting the structure of it, is there some way to switch that energy and kind of move into the trust?
I mean, it's really going to depend on where that problem really lies, right? Because there's always going to be a mental block really that is keeping you from trusting the flow of the money, or and it's kind of the same mental block that keeps you from trusting that the universe has your back and that everything works out in divine timing exactly as it's supposed to, which I hate divine timing. I understand it, but like I hate it because I want things now.
I
But
know.
that's
Like, can
that's
you
not
look
how it
at
works.
the clue?
That's why I love tarot, honestly, because I'm like, if I'm supposed to be in a rest period, I need you to let me know. Cause like otherwise I'm not gonna do it. But if y'all let me know, like they let me know in, I think it was March, that I was going to get this big intuitive Ace of Swords moment when it came September. That was when that was going to kick off. And what do you know it? I get this download that I'm supposed to be doing a group program. And then the Taylor Swift movie just kept moving that forward. So it's a lot about trusting in the universe, but also really looking at the structure of your lifestyle and what is actually going on with the money. Because, like, for me, I want to bring in money, but I don't need to bring in money. Like, I'm taken care of, and that is obviously by design. That's how it was supposed to be. I was supposed to be taken care of so I could rest and then create. If you are not in that space and you have to be in this masculine making money, really looking at your lifestyle and seeing, are there things that the money is going towards that aren't really necessary that are keeping you in the hustle? Because a lot of us will have things like a car that we don't necessarily need. Maybe it's more expensive than what we need. Maybe we're living in bigger housing than we need, more luxury housing. Maybe you could live with your parents. I have had a couple clients who are like, yeah, I think I'm just gonna move back in with my parents. I'm like, I love that idea. Please do that. All good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But finding where that support system that you are probably blocking from your energy field is, because there's supposed to be some sort of support system to help you out. And if you are blocking the energy of that support system, then you're not going to get the help that you need.
And so this makes sense where this is where a lot of inner child stuff comes in and things are blocking you don't even really understand it. You're not conscious of it because nobody's consciously like, hey, I think I'm just not going to make money for a while and see what it's like to be poor and stressed about my bills. Sounds cool. So that's where we kind of go into the inner child stuff, right? And start to unpack that. Is that kind of what you do?
Yeah. So I always love to go back to the inner child because I'm not going to say every block, but like every block I've encountered starts with the inner child. Like it's generally, and I like to expand the inner child because a lot of people will say, well, your inner child's anything under 10. But for me, the inner child is just anyone younger than you. So the version of you that was 20 is still your inner child because that version still exists within you, even though you are a very different person now because time has passed and that's what happens. So expanding that inner child and really understanding that it could have happened at any point in your life. Like a lot of people have this block where in their early 20s, because most people struggle in their early 20s, right? That's the nature of being in your 20s. It's kind of a struggle. You don't make as much money and you're still trying to figure your shit out. So then people get stuck in this routine of like, well, I was poor then, so now I want to spend all my money. Like I should be able to afford a better lifestyle now than I had then. When really you probably should keep a similar lifestyle to what you had in your early 20s so that you can plan ahead and be able to actually be safe, secure, and comfortable with your money in the future because your money is meant to support you throughout your whole lifetime that you're bringing in, not necessarily just right now.
Yes. Okay. I like that you expand it a bit more because we do talk a lot about below the age 7 with all the subconscious beliefs and the theta brain and everything. But it really is, there's so many layers to you. So just anybody younger, that makes so much sense to me. Because like as a kid, I was really good with money. Like I started babysitting as soon as I could. I developed my own envelope system before I even knew who Dave Ramsey was. So it was great. But then I get married at 20 and become a stay-at-home mom at 22, and it just totally disconnects me from money
Mhm.
and like just different things from adulthood. And now like it's so bizarre to me now, some of the issues and the blocks that I have with money. Like I don't like this is just weird because I don't feel like I used to have that. So to expand it out a bit just feels really helpful and a lot more supportive. Like it's not all on my inner 5-year-old.
Right. Well, in your inner 5-year-old, while yes, they picked up on habits, they aren't actually dealing with money in the same way that you then do as an adult. So there's always going to be more that gets stacked on top of whatever that original feeling, that original habit, whatever that thing was. There's going to be new circumstances stacked on top of it as you have more and more experiences with money. And to discount those and say, oh, well, you must have just been shown this habit as a child. You might have had parents that were actually pretty good at managing money, and maybe they even taught you how to manage money, and you still might not be good at it for very different reasons.
Yeah. So many reasons. And then I feel like this kind of correlates back to the divine feminine for me because that feels a little more nurturing. Like let's go in and nurture this aspect of you because the more masculine, like just get over it, it's not gonna help.
You don't just get over it. That's not how it works. You have to heal it and work with it. And that's the one thing is like healing your inner child and working with your inner child. You kind of have like the masculine and the feminine in all of that because you have to nurture and heal the inner child. But you also sometimes have to come in and be the authority and be like, hey, by the way, we don't need to keep doing this. We gotta stop.
Yeah, like we can change gears now. So when I look at the human design chart, 'cause I'm thinking about inner child and like some of our inner fears and all the stuff that can come up, that feels a lot like the not self in human design as well, and like kind of related to some of the open centers. And so I feel like that could be a helpful aspect to kind of combine. But for you specifically, like you have the completely open solar plexus and a completely open identity center. So do you feel like that like were those a lot for you when you were younger?
Oh yeah. I mean, so as I've said, I've highly intuitive. I've always been highly intuitive, but I grew up in an evangelical family. So someone told me I was working with the devil, which at this point I'm like, if I am, then it's the best relationship I've ever had. Thank you very much. I will continue. But someone told me that, so then I kind of shut it off. But I always noticed I could sense energy around me. And like I didn't have that person that I could talk to about that until very recently. And even so, my husband has like pretty much an opposite chart out to mine. Like his completely open center is the ego. So he picks up on other people's ego, whereas mine is very defined and in a pretty healthy place, I would say. But sometimes he'll go out to work and come back and all of a sudden want to be spending money to look better or to look like we make the amount of money that we make and to look like his class level, all those things that you do to try and show off. And he'll
Mhm.
come home and I'll be able to very quickly de-escalate him from that because what happened was he was out interacting with a very unhealthy ego for the entire day. Haven't pinned down who it is yet, but we're going to have to figure that out. But he goes out and interacts with those very unhealthy egos and then has to come back and kind of be brought down. And since he has that defined solar plexus, I can feel very intensely into his emotions, his energy. Whenever he's having something going on, even if he doesn't tell me about it, I'm like, hey, I know there's something going on. And like I've since explained to him the whole human design chart and how it works. And I explained to him the ego thing. And that was when he was like, oh no, that makes a lot of sense. I'm like, cool. Are you going to listen to me now? Cause like I've been trying to tell you this.
There is something amazing about having the like visual depiction of what's
Right.
happening to make things make sense. Like you're not just speaking some kind of woo-woo weirdness. Like, no, here is what's happening. But I imagine for you, like that could have that gosh, okay, having the completely open solar plexus, that's a lot for anybody. And then especially growing up very intuitive in a conservative Christian environment. Um, do you okay, so okay, pieces are being connected. You are also fairly open about your history of credit card debt in the past and
Mhm.
the overspending. This feels very connected to an open solar plexus, like just wanting to kind of calm down the feelings or like connect to something else. Do you feel like that
Mhm.
was part of it?
100%. It definitely was all in the emotions. And that's why I talk so much and I'm so passionate about emotional spending. Cause like I was trying to nurture and heal my inner child. Like, I would go to Disneyland a lot because I went to Disneyland as a kid, but my parents aren't fun to be at Disneyland with. We'll put it that
Uh,
way. They don't do well in a chaotic environment. And then I pick up on them not doing well in a chaotic environment. And then I'm not having a good time. So I went to Disneyland a lot with my husband because we could do that. I mean, we couldn't do that. We did it on credit cards, but we did it a lot. And it was always fun when I went with him. So then I wanted to keep doing that because it was really the first time I felt like I'd fully experienced like the magic of Disney that people say like was actually fun and magical with him, whereas it wasn't fun and magical as a kid. I also bought myself a brand new Jeep because I was so upset that I grew up in a very wealthy town. So like I was so upset that all the other teenagers, all the girls got brand new Jeeps for their 16th birthday. And I was like, I got a stick shift PT Cruiser, happy to have gotten a car, but it was a PT Cruiser.
I remember those.
And a stick shift, which like cool, I can drive stick shift, but like not a valuable skill, I would say.
Mhm.
So I don't know if you can hear my dog barking. He's probably barking at something outside.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was the inner child, the inner teenager, and very much just me trying to like soothe those emotions instead of heal the emotions.
Yes. That's so huge. And I feel like a lot of people can relate to that. Um, I know I can. And then, okay, it reminds me too, because I had this coach once, a couple years ago. She's the one that like destroyed me, but she would talk a lot about abundance mindset, right? And so she's like,
Mm-hmm.
she told me that I needed to stop shopping at TJ Maxx because I was telling the universe that I wasn't worth like valuable things. I was only
Mm-hmm.
worth cheap things or whatever. And I'm like, but they have good stuff. And, and just like it was so toxic, but I was like at the time I was just so wanting to like move forward in life and to be able to do these things. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I got to spend money to like show the universe that I'm worth spending money on. And that didn't end up well. Like, what are your thoughts on this whole like showing the universe what you're worth thing?
No, because here's the thing. If you're going to use a credit card to show the universe what you're worth, you're just showing the universe that you are okay with being in credit card debt. And you're showing them that you're okay with giving yourself things, even when they didn't necessarily give you the means to have those things. Because I firmly believe the universe gives you what you need when you need it. And as I've been kind of playing with this idea in my business over the past year, it has been true. They give me that extra little boost of income when I need to hire a coach and when I have found the right coach that needs to be hired, rather than me going out and being like, well, I could put it on a credit card and then just kind of pay it off. Or like, I could use our personal savings for that, which I have now realized I am not meant to be using my personal money in my business. Like, they are giving me what I need to build this business, and I need to trust that it is coming at the right time. But I believe that once you get into this energy of, I'm okay with having credit card debt so that I can have nice things, you're really showing the universe that you are consistently okay with having debt. And you're also consistently not trusting that they are giving you the means for what you actually need. And you have decided that you need more. And really going against the universe doesn't work out ever.
No, it doesn't. And that whole trust aspect is so fascinating to me. Like in October, my kid decided at the last minute he wanted to go to the homecoming dance, right? And I'm like, okay, well, we got to get him a suit, we got to get a couple things. And um I got insecure about it. It's like, well, I guess I'll put it on the credit card for right now. Cause I was also like really sick in October and just had zero energy. And I remember this distinct feeling, like this moment where I was like, okay, I guess I got to do the credit card. And then it was this download of like, it was like money talking to me. Like, do you not trust me to take care of this? And I was like, oh, snap.
Yeah.
And then it's like all of a sudden I felt why there's been this disconnect. And it's like like I want to say, no, of course I trust you, but then it's like, obviously I don't, or I
Mhm.
wouldn't be using, I would just like use my money. But then it realized, like it went internal, and I'm like, I don't really trust me. Like I'm sick, nothing is come, like obviously I'm not going to make money this month. Why not? Like why can't there? There's so many times where I rest and then money comes in.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, it was just a wild thing, this moment of like, why do you not trust me? Like, sorry.
Yeah. It's you have to trust, and I also do believe that, like, even if you have to ask for help from somebody else, that played a part in something bigger that maybe you don't know about yet. Like, maybe your ego was getting a little too in the way, and maybe you needed to swallow your pride a little bit and go and ask for help, because we're not supposed to do everything alone either. So I fully believe that no matter what the circumstances are that you come up against, there, unless you're blocking yourself or there's other things that we need to move through, I fully believe that the universe puts you exactly in the place you're supposed to be to learn the exact lesson you needed to learn in that moment.
Mhm. Like I know that's true, but it just feels so hard sometimes.
It's I mean, and also our I've been coming to terms with this. I'm also a star seed. So sometimes I'm like, "Hey, why the fuck am I here? Like, my
Right.
other world was better."
Yeah.
Like, why am I here? But, like, it's not supposed to be easy to be on Earth. Like, we came here to learn the lessons that our soul needed to learn, and it's not meant to be easy. It's meant to be a bit of a challenge. Otherwise, we would have gone back to wherever we were, because obviously that was better.
Well, I'm glad you're starting to talk about this stuff more. It's been fun too. I guess we've been kind of hanging out in the same space like 6 months or so now. And so watching you kind of embrace this side of you a little more has been really fun. Um, and I guess I haven't really talked about my feelings on it publicly either, but yeah, there's definitely been times where I'm like, who decided this? Like, can I go back now?
Yeah,
It's not fun here.
it is not. It is not fun here. But, we didn't come here for no good reason. And that's what I've been trying to trust is like, I came here for a reason, whether that was to teach other people lessons because they needed to learn them, or to teach myself some lessons, probably both. But I also am starting to trust, like, I need to just embrace this lifetime that I'm in. And eventually I'll get to go back to the place that's better.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of that too. But then I find it's interesting because we're both 1 3s. And so if we think about, like you were just saying, maybe I'm here for myself or for other people, but the 1 3 is very much like self-absorbed. Like we are here to figure something out for ourselves. And I see that so much in my life when I'm just like in the zone. It's like head down, just like tinkering with stuff, figuring things out. I'm really here. I really am just wanting to figure out some stuff. And then once we figure it out, then this sharing process happens.
Mhm.
Then it kind of filters through your collective channels and it comes out in this collective way. Um, which makes so much sense because like for you, you have the wavelength, the 1648, which is just it's like sharing from the depths of the wisdom and it has this natural ability. And then you have that judgment. So you are really doing some judging of the collective and looking at what's really happening and bringing that judgment to light and communicating it in this really beautiful way, and that's totally what you're doing. And it's almost like all that credit card debt. I know you have helped me so much just by talking about it because I feel so much shame, but then when you talk about it I'm like, oh, it's just it doesn't have to be a shameful thing, but if we even think about that, it's like that experience for you, you were in there figuring something out for yourself, and
Mhm.
you moved yourself through that, and now you're sharing this wisdom that you gained from it, and it's helping so many more people.
Yeah. And that honestly, I is probably the number one experience that I've started to realize, like, that was a shitty experience. Like, we're not gonna pretend like all that debt was fun to deal with. We're
Mhm.
not gonna pretend like I was in a good place when it was all happening. Like, that experience fucking sucked.
Yeah.
But now here I am, and I'm doing something really solely based on that experience because I had to understand the psychology. I had to heal it. I had to do the deep shadow work, the things that nobody actually wants to do, but so that I could actually help other people do that for themselves. And so that I could move other people who maybe weren't here to figure it out on their own through this.
Yes, and that's what's so vital and so important and beautiful about what you do because this is a vulnerable thing. Like if people are coming to you in debt and having this weird relationship with money, I mean, that's so vulnerable. And
Mhm.
so I love this new movement with money where we're looking at the energy of it and the way that you show up as a coach where again it's not like shaming of like okay just stop eating breakfast every day and I'll go to Starbucks and save that money instead, which I totally fell for in the
Yeah.
past. Um, and it's about healing the relationship. Even like you just recently talked about the no spend month. You're like, that's not gonna fix
Mhm.
anything. Don't do it.
Yeah. It's not. It's really it's one of those things that, like, I see financial gurus talk about it all the time, and they pose it as this solution. Like, you've been overspending, well, take a month and don't spend money, and it'll fix your problem. And, like, for some people, it's a fun little challenge. Can I go 30 days without spending money? That sounds like fun to figure out. And for other people, it's, ooh, I can't buy anything for 30 days. I'm going to be depriving myself of even going to the grocery store and buying preferred foods for 30 days. Like, it's not like these challenges are go only buy essentials. Like, these challenges are meant to be don't buy anything because, and they say, like, you probably have food in your pantry. Yeah, I do have food in my pantry. I don't want to eat it. That's why it's sitting there. Like, I want to go to the grocery store and buy myself preferred food so that I eat.
Right. And stay healthy,
Yeah, like, it
alive.
doesn't it doesn't make sense for people who don't see it as a fun little challenge, and they position it to people who really are in that deep state of, "I don't have any money left, I'm really struggling, I don't know what to do from here." And then at the end of that month, if you make it to the and nobody really makes it to the end of the month unless it was a fun little challenge, right? But once you go out and spend, you're just going to spend more than you would have had you just managed the overall spending throughout all of that time.
Yeah, to just kind of make up for that feeling. I know I used to do it in January, like after Christmas, I mean, I'm a single mom, so I would have to buy stuff, but I just wouldn't buy any extra stuff. And then I remember when I was married to my second husband and I was like, "Hey, let's not spend any extra in January." And he's like, "Okay." And then comes home later that day and says, "I signed up for CrossFit. It'll be $200 a month." And I was like, "That's what?" Like, that's extra money. And I got
Right.
so mad. And it was like such a weird thing, but I liked your perspective on it. It's like for me, it just felt a little better at the time where, like, I felt like I had, like, spent so much and it would, like, scared
Mhm.
me a little, and so to pull back for a month just kinda helped me kinda chill, like, I felt like it'd be okay, but I was also very much about, like, hoarding money at the time because I was so scared, my kids were little, I was by myself, I just wanted to, like, always have money in the bank, and I have far less in the bank now, but I feel more secure than I did when I had more money. 'Cause I was always scared someone was gonna take it away from me, but now I'm in this space where I'm like, I feel like I'm getting a better relationship with money, and I realize it's not gonna just disappear and then leave me forever.
Right. Money's meant to flow, and that's something I always tell people. It is meant to flow through you. Sometimes it doesn't come to you for you. And that's something that a lot of people really struggle to come to terms with because they're
Mm,
like, well, no, it came to me, so I should be able to use it on what I want. And I'm like, no, like, it might have come to you to give you housing or food. It might have come to you for something extra that you asked for, but it might have come to you because your kid needs something. and that money came to you for them. It may not have come to you for you, and you have to be okay with the fact that it is meant to flow.
Yes. And why do you think that's so hard for us to really get behind and to connect with?
I think just because like we're taught to save, right? Like that's the biggest thing is you have to save your money and you have to be prepared, which like yes, it's nice to have an emergency fund. It's nice to have savings. Those things are not bad for you to have, but you aren't necessarily supposed to always have them. Like the savings are meant to be used for something. And I have clients who come in, even who have savings, and then a big expense will come up. And they'll be like, well, usually I just put this on the credit card. But like, that's what the savings was for. The savings were there to be used, they're not there to sit. But we feel so comfortable knowing that we have that backup, even if like subconsciously we don't think we're actually going to use the backup and our backup is actually credit cards. It's comfortable to have extra money. And just because you know that you need money to survive, it's very comfortable to have it. So it's harder to understand that it was meant to flow through you. And that's also why people get so mad about like an unexpected expense. Like my dogs had to go to the vet a couple weeks ago. It was a big emotional event for me. It was $2,500 for them to get their teeth done. Yeah, and I was like, "That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money I coulda used for something else." But even I sometimes have to remind myself, this money comes to you to flow to where it needs to go. This
Mm.
money you had because your dogs were gonna need to go to the vet. And this has been planned for, even if, like, consciously I didn't plan for that, it has divinely been planned for.
Yes. It's such a beautiful reminder to have that mantra. I know for me, sometimes when I'm nervous about spending money, I'll just start thinking about where all that money will go. Like what you were saying. It's like if I'm at the grocery store, I'm like, okay, this money helps this dude have a job, and
Mhm,
all these other people in this building have a job because of this money. And I just think about all the connections, and then it just feels really cool. And like even with that story, it's like, okay, well now this vet gets to stay in business because
mhm.
of this money, and they're helping so many pets, and who knows where it'll go after that. And it's just this amplification and connection to so many different things.
Yeah. And also, I mean, my dog's teeth really apparently needed some work. And who knows if I had been like, I can't spend $2,500, maybe next year, like, would that have developed into something a lot worse?
Yes. Yeah, good point. Okay, so let's connect in. I want to hear more if you're ready to share about this group program that's coming through. Like, what do you want people to know about this? Because it sounds exciting.
Yes. So I'm running the group program. It's going to be called Unfuck Your Money Mindset because that's what we're doing. We are going to not only look at the strategy to actually manage your money, because yes, that is important, but we're also going to look at how you can really shift and transform your mindset in a way that allows you to feel comfortable and to really understand how to use money energetically and how to interact with it, have a healthy relationship with your spending habits. So you're no longer going out and spending for your inner child or spending to soothe emotions. We're going to talk about creating better coping mechanisms so that you don't have to do that anymore because it's all about the coping mechanisms. There's also going to be group support where I'm going to be here to just answer questions, and we're going to go through anything that comes up, anything that came up during the modules that you were working through. What do you need help with? Let's uncover those blocks. Let's move through those blocks. And then I'm also excited. I'm going to talk a little bit about the abundance mindset and also how to manifest and the psychology behind it, because I think even if you look at manifestation, not from a magical standpoint, even though I love magic, but from a psychological standpoint, it is so interesting how just believing, like truly believing that something is going to happen will make it happen.
Yeah, that blows my mind with the whole aspect of it. Oh. Are we gonna have to do another episode and talk about manifesting?
Oh, we can. I could talk about it for way too long.
Because that would, yeah. Okay. We're gonna do a little cliffhanger and then we'll talk about it because I think that could be really interesting. The manifesting aspect of life is really fascinating to me. Okay, and this program sounds really awesome too. I love the like group aspect. I feel like people sometimes feel scared to be in a group, especially when they're talking about a vulnerable thing like money or maybe sharing with the debt. But from my experience, it's it just amplifies the healing. It helps it
Mhm.
can make it even faster because if you hear somebody else's story, you're gonna hear parts of yourself inside of that. Like, even you sharing about your credit card debt, just, like, if somebody sees as a TikTok video about you talking about that in this empowering way, it, like, helps to soothe it, and so that can help in so many levels. So I just really encourage anybody who's, like, scared of a group, just reach out to Larissa and talk and do it because it would be great.
Yes. And I always create a no shame space. Like I am no bullshit. So if somebody tries to shame another member, which it's not going to happen because people coming into my space already know that I'm a no bullshit person, but like they will get shut down so fast. You don't even know.
Yes, that manifestor energy will come in and zap.
Yes.
So
But we're
fast.
also going to do a whole section on inner child healing because there's so much that we can go into. And this whole section is going to talk about not only what you need to understand in order to get to those subconscious inner child beliefs, but how you can really integrate your inner child with your adult self because you are meant to work with and play with this inner child. Play is never supposed to go away in your life. So, understanding how to integrate the inner child in a way that makes more sense and allows you to be productive with all your money can make all the difference in the world. I've watched it happen with so many clients. There's going to be just a whole section on the inner child because it needs to be there.
This feels so powerful. I'm excited. Okay, so if anybody's curious about it, like when does it start? How do they reach out to you? What do they need to do?
Yeah, so you can follow me. I'm on TikTok and Instagram at Worried to Wealthy, or I believe my website's going to be in the description.
Mhm.
Pretty sure I put that there. Yes. So we start on February 22nd, 222, because it has to be on a portal day. So we're
Yes.
going to be starting on 222. Currently, I am taking people into a wait list or I'm taking deposits for early signups. People who do get on the wait list will get some extra one-on-one bonuses because the one-on-one is so transformational as well. So those of you who are really ready and want to get in early will get extra one-on-one bonuses. Otherwise, you can hop on the wait list. Those will also get extra one-on-one bonuses. And we start enrolling in January. I am limiting it to 15 people. So if you are seriously interested, seriously ready, be sure to reach out to me. I'm also offering free consultation calls. You can come in, we can chat about all the modules, we can chat about what your current issues are, and really decide if this is the best move for you.
Beautiful. Okay, I love that too, to just open up that conversation. And I will say, like, if you are curious and you have questions, I'm just would encourage you to reach out and talk to Larissa. If you can't tell already, she's not going to try to shame you into signing up and paying her money. Like, that's not going to happen. So,
Let's just say if it's not for you, my manifestor energy is not going to want to work with you. So I do
yeah,
not hard sell. My manifestor energy needs people who are ready to work with it.
yes, yes. I know. I was thinking that too. I'm like, if it's not working, you're gonna shut people. Like, I feel like you would even tell people, like, I don't think you're ready right now.
Yeah. No, I do that all the time. I'll tell people like I don't know that it sounds like you're ready to make the kind of transformation that I'm ready to give you.
Yeah.
And I'm really ready to give you this intense transformation that you're never going to see the same life again. But if you're not ready for that, then we are not the good match right now. But follow me and there will be more.
So powerful. Yes. Yes. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Larissa. Thanks for having this conversation and for chatting and talking about the divine feminine and everything. And I feel like we could have talked for way longer because it's really fascinating, but I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was fun. And definitely I'll come back in and we can talk about some manifestation because it's interesting.
That would be so fun. Yes. Okay. I'm excited. Thanks, y'all.